The prosecutor called me a model witness, said my memory recording was one of the clearest they'd ever submitted. 43 minutes of neural footage that helped convict 3 men. What she didn't mention, what nobody mentioned, was what else was on that recording. The 40 minutes before the robbery. The thoughts I'd never said aloud. The thoughts my wife was watching. Right now, in her office at the Crown Prosecution Service. My name is Michael Reeves. I've been the branch manager at Westbury Building Society in Bristol for 11 years. I'm 44 years old. Married 16 years to a woman named Sarah. We live in a semi-detached house in Clifton, with a garden neither of us uses and a kitchen table where we eat dinner in comfortable silence. Every witness in this country has to give their memory recording now. It's just how evidence works. Since 2036, the courts stopped trusting what people say and started trusting what people see. Neural extraction, 43 minutes of everything your brain captured before, during, and after the incident in question. I never thought about what else those recordings might show. The 14th of February started like any other shift. I was behind the counter by 8, running through the morning's deposits, watching the queue form outside the glass doors. Valentine's Day. 16 years married, and I hadn't bought her anything, hadn't planned anything. I was thinking about that while I counted 20s into the cash drawer, thinking about how we'd stopped planning things together, how the silence at dinner had become comfortable, how I wasn't sure if that was peace or something worse. There's a particular quality to a marriage that's ending quietly. No arguments, no slammed doors, just two people moving through the same house, occupying the same rooms, never quite touching. I'd been noticing it for months, maybe years. The way Sarah's eyes would slide past me when I walked into a room. The way I'd stopped asking about her day because I already knew the answer would be fine. Fine, that word. We used it constantly. How was work? Fine. How are you feeling? Fine. Do you want to watch something? Fine. A whole vocabulary reduced to a single syllable that meant nothing at all. The robbery happened at 9:47 a.m. 3 men. Balaclavas pulled tight over their faces. One had a shotgun, sawn off, the kind you see in films but never expect to see in real life. They were shouting at the customers to get down. Mrs. Patterson, who comes in every Tuesday to deposit her pension, was crying. The security guard, new lad, couldn't have been more than 22, had his hands up, shaking so badly I could hear his keys rattling. And I remember thinking, in the middle of all that noise, with a gun barrel swinging toward my face, that this was the most alive I'd felt in months. I didn't know what that meant yet. I do now. 4 minutes. That's how long it took. Then they were gone, and the police were there, and someone was asking if I was all right, and I said yes. I said yes because that's what you say, because fine had become my only language. Standard procedure, memory submission. I sat in the back office while they ran the neural scan. A technician with cold hands attached electrodes to my temples. She smelled like antiseptic and coffee. She told me to relax. I couldn't relax. But the machine doesn't need you to relax. It takes what it needs regardless. 43 minutes of recording, they said. The robbery plus context. I signed the release without reading it. I'd signed 100 forms that day. What was one more? I drove home. Sarah's car wasn't in the drive. I called her mobile. No answer. I made tea, PG tips, 2 sugars, the way I've made it for 20 years, and sat in the kitchen waiting for the shaking to stop. It didn't stop. I called again. Voicemail. I left a message, my voice cracking, telling her what happened, asking her to come home, asking her to please come home. She came home at 9 that night. I was still in the kitchen. The tea had gone cold hours ago. I'd been rehearsing what I'd say, how frightened I'd been, how I kept thinking about her while the gun was pointed at my face. I wanted her to hold me. I wanted to feel like we were still something. Like the 16 years hadn't just been time passing. She stood in the doorway. She didn't come closer. She was still wearing her work clothes, the grey blazer I'd bought her 3 Christmases ago. The one she said she liked but never wore unless she had court. She'd been in court today. I could tell by the way she held herself. Rigid, professional. I saw your recording, she said. I thought she meant the news. Witness footage leaked sometimes. The BBC had run something about the robbery on the 6 o'clock bulletin. The robbery was not the robbery. Her voice was flat, not angry. Worse than angry. Empty. I work in the prosecutor's office, Michael. I have access to the evidence database. Case-relevant materials only, technically, but the system flags anything involving immediate family. Conflict of interest protocols. I watched the whole file this afternoon, all 43 minutes. The room went cold. I understood then. The recording didn't start when the men burst through the door. It started 40 minutes earlier. 40 minutes of me standing behind a counter, counting deposits, smiling at customers and thinking about my marriage, thinking about whether I was happy, thinking about whether I'd made a mistake 16 years ago, when I stood in that church and promised forever, thinking about a woman I'd met at a conference in Leeds, Rachel, deputy manager at a Bradford branch. Nothing happened. Nothing would ever happen. We'd had coffee. We'd talked about interest rates and staffing shortages and the new security protocols. But I'd thought about her. In the privacy of my own head, I'd wondered what it would be like. What it would be like to start again. What it would be like to be someone other than the man who came home every night to a house full of silence. Sarah, those were just thoughts. I would never, I know. She cut me off. Her hands were steady. Mine weren't. I watched you think about leaving me for 37 minutes. And then I watched 3 men point a gun at your head. And do you know what I saw in that moment? Do you know what you were feeling when you thought you might die? I couldn't answer. I couldn't move. Relief, she said. You felt relief. Because you finally had an excuse to stop thinking. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. She was right. In the moment those men burst through the door, in the moment everything became noise and fear and chaos, some part of me had been grateful. The emergency gave me permission to stop weighing, to stop wondering, to stop slowly suffocating in a life I'd chosen and couldn't admit I regretted. Sarah, please. I love you. I do. I didn't know how to say. You didn't have to say anything, she said. The recording said it for you. She moved out that weekend. I helped her carry boxes. We didn't talk about the recording again. We didn't talk about much of anything. She'd hired a van, a small one, white, with a dent in the passenger door, and I watched her load it with 16 years of accumulated life, photo albums, kitchen equipment, the quilt her mother made us for our wedding. I stood in the driveway as she drove away. It was raining, February rain, cold and thin, the kind that soaks through your clothes without you noticing. I didn't go back inside for a long time. The robbers were caught 11 days later. My testimony, my memory, helped convict all 3. Aggravated robbery. 8 years each. The prosecutor called me a model witness. Said my recording was one of the clearest they'd ever submitted. Perfect neural resolution. Every detail captured. I didn't tell her what else was on it. I didn't tell anyone. Sarah filed for divorce in March. The paperwork cited irreconcilable differences. That's the phrase, isn't it? Irreconcilable, as if we'd tried to reconcile and failed. We hadn't tried anything. She'd just seen the inside of my head. Seen all the things I'd never been brave enough to say. All the doubts I'd kept locked away in the only private space I thought I had left. I still managed the same branch. They offered me a transfer after the robbery. Trauma support, they called it. But I turned it down. I didn't want to start over. I wanted to stay in the place where everything ended. I wanted to remember. I wanted to stand behind that counter every morning and feel the weight of what happened there. The weight of what I was thinking while it happened. The recording is sealed now. Evidence in a closed case. Archived somewhere in a government server, time-stamped and tagged, waiting for no one. But Sarah doesn't need to watch it again. She saw enough. She saw that I'd been leaving her for years, just never moving, never choosing, never doing anything except thinking, in the privacy of my own head, that there might be something else, something better, Someone who made me feel less like I was drowning in my own life. The system was designed to eliminate false testimony, to catch liars, to ensure that justice wasn't corrupted by faulty human memory. But I wasn't lying. I never lied to anyone. I just didn't tell the truth. I kept it locked inside, where I thought it belonged, where I thought it would stay. The neural extraction didn't care about privacy. It didn't care about the difference between what you've done and what you've thought about doing. It took everything, every fleeting doubt, every half-formed regret, every moment of wondering if you'd made the wrong choice all those years ago. And now I live alone in a house that's too quiet. I eat dinner at a table meant for two. I go to work and count deposits and smile at customers and think about nothing at all. Because thinking is dangerous now. Because I've learned what happens when someone sees inside your head. The robbery didn't destroy my marriage. My marriage was already over. I just hadn't been honest enough to end it. The recording didn't betray me. It showed Sarah the truth I'd been hiding from both of us. The three men with guns took nothing that mattered. £17,000 from the vault. Insurance covered it within the week. The 40 minutes before they arrived. That's what cost me everything. Not the crime, not the trauma. The ordinary, devastating quiet of a man standing behind a counter, wondering if his life was already over. Every night I think about what I was thinking that morning. And every night I wonder if I'll ever be able to stop.